Have you ever had to release a song you weren't proud of, maybe because of a tight deadline or busy schedule?
Loads.
Yeah. And like, is it hard to make that decision to say, okay, I'm not really happy with this, but just get it over
You
with? Or
try to make so much that you get into a kill your darlings situation, that you can choose from the best you have, but sometimes there's just not much to go on, and yeah, man, you get pressured to release anything and you just fart them out. Fart.
I
That's not the
For
right
me
way
it's
to
a bit
say it.
different.
There goes the
Mhm.
clip for TikTok.
For me, it's a bit different because when I work on music, I always enjoy what I'm making. Of course, you get if you're 100 hours on a track, you don't like it as much anymore, but you kind of feel like, hey, this is why I'm releasing it. Usually, I sometimes regret it. Not really regret; it's a big word, but when you're in the process of going to the release and all the paperwork and all the parties get involved, and you're a year later, for example, and you hear the track again, and you're like, oh. I wish it was just already released. Just okay, get it out, and you kind of feel like not that proud anymore of the track. You're
That
kind of
Yeah.
that
like,
that's
oh,
it.
I've
That's it.
heard it so much and all the paperwork and whatever.
Yeah.
So that does happen
Okay.
a lot as well.
Yeah.
But
I have a nice story about this. As in, at the heights of my career, I was asked to do a remix for Jennifer Lopez, which was a big deal for me back then. And I got the parts. I started working on it. Spent like 4 or 5 hours to nail down the fundament of the song. I was pretty happy about it. I was like, okay, this is actually going into the right way. But I wanted to get like a double check before I continued. So I emailed it to my manager. He forwarded it to the management of J Lo, like just checking, like, is this kind of what you were expecting? Yes or no? Before I finished it. And we got an email back like, oh, this is perfect. It's fine like this. Like, keep it like this. And I was like, okay. So I just finished it like that. And that was kind of double to me because on one end I was like, no, I want to finish it, but on the other side I was like, it actually does sound already okay enough. Like it was like a 80% finish to me, and it worked great, to be honest. Like, still, if I listen to it now, it's actually still great. It's just super minimalistic, but that's also a story of not really finishing a song. But in the end, I was happy with releasing it in that status. And it's just because they said they were okay with the result already.
Yeah.
with some tracks, you're just never finished. I've had tracks where I was like, you know what? Everybody agrees now. I don't know
Yeah.
what's lacking, or I can't hear anymore what it is, but let's just go ahead with it. I think actually that's also with some collabs where you work together and someone changed the part where you're like, I'm not sure, and you just keep it in because the label likes it, or and then it turns out it was better. I think sometimes you just can't really decide if something you make is good, which is really weird.
That's
That's
definitely
always
definitely the
right.
thing. Yeah. That's also
The-
what we had. And when everybody backs it, and then in hindsight, you kind of make your final judgment. Because if it did really well, I remember I didn't want to release All Aboard with Dimi and Mike, maybe in 2016. But he convinced me, Dimitri, like, dude, it's really works well in the set and this and that and blah blah blah. And then it did really well. So I wasn't right at all. So, and that also is the thing. But if it wouldn't have performed good, that would be one of those tracks I would now say I shouldn't have released that. So kind of also it's kind of double. Sometimes you just don't know. You cannot trust your own judgment also because you just make so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I see with many artists. It's always the tracks that you are not the most proud of that perform the best.
Or you
And
don't expect it.
and
Yeah.
that's so weird to me. Like, the ones that you expect the most of kind of do okay, and it's the ones that you feel like, nah, let me just put it out there
yeah.
and we'll
Of
see.
course, that's not
Boom.
always the case, but it kind of is sometimes, or a lot of the times, like this. Because as a musician, you want to make kind of a little bit experimental, sophisticated music, which is a dumb thing to say, to be honest. But
You stopped doing that long ago.
yeah, man, I didn't even try. No, but the things that work best are just usually, like, I call it, like, so simple that it's genius. And yeah, don't overthink. That's a big blockade. And
Can I
yeah.
can I make a golf
No, you
analogy?
cannot.
So in golf, what you do, or what you should do, is you practice, 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 practice a lot. And then when you're on the course and you're playing the actual game, what you shouldn't do is think about your practice. You should just trust yourself and just go with it. And I think if you can learn to do that in the studio, like trust your gut and trust your skills if you have experience. So you need some experience, regardless. But then you just gotta just trust it. Just don't think about the sound you put in. Just, hey, I like this, go. And that usually, because I have tracks where they were really simple to build and I built them in 2 hours. And now I'm like, oh, you kind of think back, like, how did I do that? But because you just weren't thinking at all. I think that's the zone you want to get in.
Yeah, true. It's
And
just
it happens once every 6 years.
exactly. That's a very hard
on
zone to get
average.
into. Yeah. But that happened with me as well, as in with that track. It just kind of in like 4 or 5 hours, it just completely
Fit.
I just completely nailed it down in 4 or 5 hours. While sometimes you work on a track
Shall
for
we have
4
a
or 5
listen to the
days.
track? Because I'm kind of curious
can.
now.
Really? Oh, we can. Wait.
But YouTube will not like that, I think.
Yeah, it's released on a big
You
label.
get,
They might claim it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's for anyone who wants to check it, it's
Stupid big labels.
Booty
Suits.
from Jennifer Lopez,
Booty?
and then the Joey
Suits.
Joey Suki remix.
You know what would be funny if we now mention the track "Fuck the Suits" and then we will be like copyright
Yeah,
reported by.
by
By
Melodramatic.
Melodramatic. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.